The U.S. Department of Agriculture, or USDA, developed TEFAP in 1981 as a way to assist hunger-stricken individuals while reducing surplus federal food inventories. Of course, food distribution programs tend to evolve over the years. We're concerned with how the program works now, so let's focus on TEFAP operations in 2016. The USDA calculates the amount of TEFAP food and funding each state will receive by using a formula based on the state's number of low-income and unemployed persons, as compared to national statistics. The formula itself is defined in 7 CFR, Section 251.3H. After determining how much each state will receive in administrative and food dollars, the USDA informs the state of the allocation. The state then uses a similar formula to the USDA's to determine the allocation for each of our 4 regional food banks. Now is a good time to mention that by state, we are actually referring to the State Distributing Agency, or SDA. Arizona's SDA is the Coordinated Hunger Relief Program on behalf of the Department of Economic Security. Instead of sending actual dollars to the regional food banks, the Coordinated Hunger Relief Program orders the commodities from the USDA via Internet. The USDA then works with food producers and distributors to have the ordered commodities sent directly to the regional food banks. Since the regional food banks have similar processes, we'll just concentrate on one food bank from here forward. Once the food bank processes the receipt of the commodities, they calculate how much to send to their subrecipients, the local food pantries, and congregate meal sites, which are also known as soup kitchens, and how much to keep in their warehouse. The food bank then delivers the food to its subrecipients for final distribution directly to clients as part of an emergency food box, a self-selection shopping experience, or a congregate meal at a local congregate dining site. The EFB is packed and ready for clients to take home for preparation and consumption of the food. Whenever possible, EFBs are packed with complementary products such as pasta and tomato sauce, and larger households may qualify to get additional EFBs. During self-selection, the recipient is escorted through the pantry to select the food of their choice. Again, larger households are allowed more food than smaller households. This model is popular among recipients and will hopefully be seen more in the future. Congregate meal sites, also known as soup kitchens, are ideal for people who are not able to store or cook their own food. The TEFAP foods are cooked on site, and the congregate meal service encourages people to shake off self-imposed social isolation. TEFAP eligibility requirements are simplified to ensure vulnerable households in need of a supply of emergency food are presented with as little paperwork as possible in order to obtain the commodities. Let's look at the chalkboard one more time. Eligibility Rule 1 is that the recipient must present his or her photo identification. The photo ID does not need to be issued by a government agency. As long as the ID has the recipient's name and photograph, the ID is acceptable for TEFAP. Rule 2 is that the recipient should provide proof of address to the extent practicable. P.O. boxes in rural areas are acceptable, and individuals experiencing homelessness can give the nearest cross streets of their most recent habitat. The number of people in the household should also be provided so that the proper income level for rule number 3 can be determined, and so that the household receives the correct amount of food for the household size. Examples of proof of address include utility bills, lease agreements, or letters received from DES. The last eligibility requirement is the recipient's signature. By providing a signature, the recipient is certifying that A, he or she is income eligible according to income guidelines posted at each food bank, food pantry, and congregate meal site. B, the recipient's agreement that USDA commodities are for personal home use and must not be sold, traded, or given away. And C, the recipient lives in the distribution site's service area. Eligibility requirements for congregate meals at a soup kitchen are even further simplified than those for household distribution. As shown in 7 CFR Section 251.5A2, SDAs cannot require congregate meal sites to employ a needs test or to keep records solely for the purpose of demonstrating that its recipients are needy. When the soup kitchen is operating, it is only required that a person be present to receive services. So, you may be wondering why someone would spend a hot summer day standing in line at the local food pantry if all they're going to get is some TEFAP commodities. Well, the good thing is, there's a lot more than TEFAP commodities in a typical pantry's EFB. Along with TEFAP goods, a food bank or pantry may also provide foods donated from the public individually or through a food drive, or from retailers needing to make room on their shelves to receive newer inventory. Clients may also receive foods rescued from ultimately becoming waste through the Arizona statewide gleaning project. Additionally, they could receive foods purchased with the food bank's own funds. As we've seen, TEFAP recipients have a variety of delivery options and are required to complete as little paperwork as possible to receive assistance. So, what about people who have no way to store and cook food and don't want a congregate meal? Of course, we're speaking about individuals suffering from homelessness. For this vulnerable population, there is no way to store and cook their food, and they may not be able or willing to attend a congregate meal service for a variety of reasons. Recognizing this gap in coverage, food banks develop portable food packs with ready-to-eat food and hydration. The packs are comprised of non-TEFAP foods and help people receive nourishment while on the go. While conducting federal programs, food banks, pantries, and congregate meal sites must not discriminate on any prohibited basis, charge a fee that is in any way connected to receiving TEFAP, or refuse service because the client chose not to provide non-eligibility information to the distribution site. You now have a primary understanding of TEFAP logistics, eligibility requirements, distribution methods, and prohibited activities. However, there are many other components of program administration and much more to learn. For more information on TEFAP or other food distribution programs, please contact the Coordinated Hunger Relief Program by phone at 602-771-2788, by email at coordinatedhungerreliefprogram@azdes.gov, or stop by our office at DES HQ.